CC, CEO, wanna change your life? Come see me, yo. I'ma teach you how to build up wealth for your family, not just for yourself. I'm a bestseller, a house flipper, a businesswoman, a go-getter, a big investor, a goal builder that could teach you to get richer like millions, baby. You really about to fill your savings. You about to have multiple streams to impact your children, baby. Let me teach you to get your credit on track in the long run. You'll make it all back at Catalyst and watch it all psychology black-owned firm, but we ain't all black.
Hey, what's up, everybody? It's your girl, Constance Carter, and I'm so happy to be here. I'm coming on a little bit earlier today. I'm just trying to try out some different times to see, what times you guys may like me to go live. So I liked a little bit of an earlier time when Boyce Watkins and I were talking. He liked the later time. So I'm just kind of trying to see like what works. What's a better time? I know on the West Coast, it's a little bit early. In the East Coast, since I'm on the East Coast now, it's a little bit late. Coming on a little bit later is a little bit late. But I wanted to come on here and talk to you guys about something that's really important. What's up, everybody? So as you come in, first, let me do some housekeeping. Make sure that you subscribe to the Fly Nubian Queen. Make sure, do you see the Fly Nubian Queen? If you're watching me from YouTube, go to the Fly Nubian Queen, hit subscribe. And then I want you to just go over here to Constance Carter, my YouTube page. I ain't got his Fly Nubian Queen got 580,000 subscribers, which I know there are thousands of people that watch this daily. But go over to Constance Carter at CC the CEO. Give me a little bit of love too. Go ahead and subscribe to that channel as well. You can go back and watch it on the Fly Nubian Queen, but give me some love over there at CC the CEO on my YouTube channel. Also, make sure you follow me on I Am Constance Carter on Facebook and Instagram. All right, and if you've ever listen to me live, you know that this is a dialogue and not a monologue. So I want you to talk back to me. Any questions that you may have about what I'm getting ready to talk about tonight, I want you to go ahead and ask, and then I'm happy to answer them live. And I always go back and look at the comments as well. And so, if there's a question that you have, maybe you see this at a different time or at a later time, just go ahead and put your comment in the comments box or your question in the comments box, and I'm happy to answer it even at a later time. All right, that this is not live. But while you're here, I know we have people that watch from all over the world. So put in the comments where you are watching from, because I want to shout you out. All right. So while y'all putting your name in the comments and where you're watching from, I want to go ahead and get started. The reason why I wanted to talk to you about LLC and living trust is because this is a topic that comes up so often. I'm always looking at my Facebook page. What's up, Twisted Sister on Central Time? I'm always on my Facebook page. People are always like, I got an LLC, right? And so they think because they got an LLC, they're automatically going to be rich. I do a cohort called the Net 7 Collective with beautiful, brilliant Black women, all upwardly mobile, forward-thinking Black women who invest in themselves, who are movers and shakers in the world. And they all, I think 95% of them said, maybe 100% of them have LLCs. And they got LLCs because they were listening to people on the internet, and they got them and they didn't know what they were supposed to do with them. And I don't know if you know, but now with the new compliance laws, with LLCs, you have to, or any type of entity, you have to pay, or you have to file your compliance on the BOI website. So it's through FinCEN. So if you have an LLC, let me just tell you this really quick. Go on BOI BOI e-filing. I'm going to put it in the comments, .fincen.gov. Now go there. It's probably a 5-minute process, really. Make sure that your LLC, your corporation, is in compliance. Wait, did I put it on here? Make sure that it's in compliance. There we go. Go to this website, and I want you to make sure that this is in compliance. This takes all of 5 minutes for you to do. And because what's going to happen is if you just got an LLC in 2024, then you have 30 days to register it. If you do not register it with FinCEN in 30 days, you will be charged $500 every day until it comes to compliance. If you've had an LLC prior to 2024, from 2023 back on, you have until the end of the year, right? But this is really a 5-minute process. So why wait until you forget about it and all that to file, and then you may forget about it. Then all of a sudden you get this huge bill from the federal government. You don't want to do that. So as soon as you get done watching me, go to the BOI-e-filing.fincen.gov. And if you have some type of entity, an LLC or corporation, go ahead and complete this. What is it called? I talked about it not too long ago. It is called the Oh, the Corporate Transparency Act. That's what it's called. The Corporate Transparency Act. And that's really you disclosing who's on your who's a part of your entity. Now, if you're a single person entity and there's just you, it's not a whole lot of information that you have to fill out. But if there's a lot of people that, if you have a very successful company and there's a lot of moving parts, it could be more complex. But if you were going to have some type of entity, make sure that you go to this BOIE filing, or you will be charged for this $500 a day if you just started your LLC, or at the end of the year, you're going to get charged $500 every single day. So go to this BOIE filing. So I just want to get that out the way. Okay. Secondly, I want to talk about living trust versus LLCs. Okay. So let's talk about it, because people ask me all the time, why, should I put my house in a living trust or should I put it in an LLC? And it depends. It all depends. It depends on your situation. Does anybody know why it depends on your situation? And again, this is classes in session. So talk to me. Does anybody know why it depends on which entity or what you should do with your properties if you have a property? And we're talking about in terms of real estate now, right? So why should you have your house in a living trust? Why should you have an LLC? Does anybody know? If you don't know, let me tell you. So there are pros and cons of both. Okay. So you have a living trust. Living trusts are more for investment. Excuse me. LLCs are more for investments. But I would say at the end of the day, if you have multiple properties, I would say do both. And let's talk about it. All right. So what's a living trust? A living trust, there's pros and cons to a living trust. Okay. So the purpose of a living trust, the moment you get a property, the moment you close, before you even close escrow on the property, if you can, put your home's title in the living trust. Why? Because should something happen to you, then the house goes to probate. Okay. Even if you are married. So for example, I had a husband and wife. The guy was 38 years old. He had a wife. She didn't work. The house was in his name only. Now, California is a community property state. So whatever, if you get divorced or whatever, the wife gets half or whatever. This young man got into a car accident. He dies. The house is in his name, but she's a wife. It's community property. You would think it automatically goes to her. Well, when she went to go sell it, because she had small children, she was actually pregnant with their child when he died. She went to go sell the property, and the judge would not allow her to sell the property because the judge said it was not in the best interest of the children. It had to go through probate court, and probate is a lengthy and costly process to go through. Okay. So many times, and if you ever seen any of my videos, I talk about all of these celebrities whose estates have been tied up for years because people get to fight and people get to act a fool. If you don't want your kids to hate each other, make sure as soon as you get the home, before you close escrow, have a living trust and have your home closed in the living trust. And that is a simple process that you don't really have to do. The title company will put the title in the living trust name. You can get the living trust through an attorney, which is going to be, it could be $1,500 or so. Or you can go to this place called 299trust.com. They'll do it for $299. They'll set up the trust. It's a template that they have. You go through that, you answer a bunch of questions, and then you put all of your properties, all of your assets. I will put my bank account in my trust. I will put my life insurance in my trust. I will put my cars in my trust. I will put any personal property, everything that I have, that I have directives that I know that I want to go to my children or however I want to distribute it. I would put everything in a living trust, because if you don't, then probate. Oh my God. Let me tell you about probate court. Here's some situations that have happened in probate court for me personally. I had some young ladies contact me a couple years ago. They contacted me, and they were estranged from their father. And they found out they weren't around their father for years, and they found out that their uncle had a home that the grandparents had, right? So the grandparents had a home. They left it of course they die. It goes to their children. It wasn't in a living trust. So the uncle, there's 6 or 7 siblings. The uncle is the only living heir to the property. He lives in the property. So all of his nieces, he has no kids. All of his nieces and nephews says, you know what? We want our piece of this property, Unc. So we need you to break yourself. We need you to sell this property and we want our portion. And his argument was that, who are these people? They weren't, these are my brother's children. I never had a relationship with them. Why are they coming after me? I live here. So now you mean to tell me this is in the Bay Area. So house prices are astronomical. You mean to tell me I got to sell, this property? I got to split it with all these people. And I'm going to be, I'm going to essentially be homeless at this point if I have to get out. If there was some type of living trust set up, there would have been directives and there wouldn't have been any displacement. Now, whether they were right or whether they were wrong, we don't know. The probate court had to decide. Well, it goes through probate. I think he was about 75 years old. The 75-year-old uncle, the court said, you know what, based upon, I know this is your mom and daddy's house. This is his mom and dad's. He wanted to keep it, until he died. He's had it. They have this home since he was a little boy. So he was raised in this home. This home had a lot of sentimental value to it. He wanted to try to buy them out. He couldn't buy them out. He couldn't afford it, so he had to sell it. So and the probate courts ruled that he had to sell it. So, in some cases, people would think, oh, that's pretty cruel. This man now, he's 70-something years old. He would have been displaced. He's going to be displaced because, his nieces and nephews that he said that, were estranged from his brother, that they weren't even a part of the family. And I think they probably weren't, because I remember them telling me that they weren't part of the, they were kind of estranged from their father as well. But this was, to their point, this is their inheritance. They were owed this. This is what they, this is what they were entitled to. The thing is, whether they're right or he was right, or they're wrong or he was wrong, the bottom line is there were no directives. There was no living trust in place to kind of establish what should happen. And so these types of things. So now there's a feud between the uncle and the nieces. And, now, there's that, right? There's that family feud. I've also had situations where I've had clients there was a bunch of siblings. And they were all arguing over about what mama wanted them to do with the property. Mama said mama wanted me. Mama actually wanted me. I'm her favorite. I mean, literally, these people were on the phone arguing for at least an hour with me on the phone. And I allowed them to argue. Y'all might be watching this because they're my clients. I allowed them to argue for about an hour. I remember I was getting my hair done and I'm listening to them argue. And I couldn't really say that because I'm getting my hair done and I'm on the Bluetooth. And then finally, when I get in my car, I'm still letting them argue. And I finally said, you know what? Your mama will be ashamed of all of y'all for acting a fool like this. But at the end of the day, they had to go through the process in order to get everything worked out. Now, had there been some type of living trust, there would have been no argument. On the other hand, I've had clients, had a client, her dad died suddenly out the blue. His stuff was set up in a living trust. Very seamless. They presented me with the living trust. We put the house on the market, sold the house in 30 days. Everybody got their share. No issues, no problem. So when you have a living trust, there's no issue. So I don't care if you have 1 property, 5 properties, 10 properties, or 20 properties. If you get a home, you need to protect your asset. Okay. You need to have some kind of living trust. If you have a will is not enough. A will can be contested. Somebody said a will be contested. Somebody put in the comments box, a will be contested. Now here's how, this is why. A will is just instructions. It's just instructions. I am carrying out the wishes of so-and-so. Okay, we're going to carry out the wishes of so-and-so. But if their property is not listed in a living trust, it still has to go to probate to carry everything out. The judge still has to decide, because some relative from buttfuck Arkansas could say, you know what? Unc said that I was entitled to the property too. He said that I got, I can get $100,000 from whatever it is from the sale of y'all property. That is that's somebody contesting the will. So now we got to go through probate, and now they got to prove that the unc really didn't tell the cousin or the nephew that they could have part of the property. Even though it's going to come out that unc didn't say that, it's going to cost more money to contest it. So why don't you pay the money up front, with the living trust, 299trust.com. And it's so funny because some people said, oh, you promoting 299trust.com because you must be getting paid from it. I don't get paid from 299trust.com. First of all, I advise you to consult an attorney, right? consult an attorney. If you cannot afford an attorney, because an attorney will charge anywhere from $1,500. I haven't seen in too many trusts less than $1,500, and sometimes people don't have the $1,500, right? To upwards of $2,000-$3,000, depending on how extensive it is. So I would consult an attorney if you can't. If you can't, the minimum you can do is go to 299trust.com. I did it with properties that I've had in the past. They were protected. In fact, the notary that was doing my documents when I got my trust through 299 Trust, they were like, "Who did this trust? This is the most extensive trust that I've ever seen in my life." It was very detailed. My parents, their current trusts I did them through 299trust.com. So if anything should happen, it's done. We good. Ain't gonna be no fighting. I don't think me and my siblings are gonna fight over their stuff, but you never know what happens, because my mom always said when people die and it comes to money, folks get to acting funny. So you definitely, as soon as you get a property, you definitely want to get some type of living trust. So I don't care what you do, get a living trust. So here are some pros. A living trust offers a higher degree of privacy. So when you put your house in a living trust, then people can't tell. People don't know whose name the property is in. So you can go into looking at people's properties, right? You can go to 123 Main Street and see who owns the property. It's public record. You can go, and there's some databases out there that'll tell you who owns a property. Well, if it's in a living trust, then you don't have that same thing. So, for example, when I first moved to an affluent neighborhood, the houses, every house over in the neighborhood were $1 million plus. Most of the people that lived in this neighborhood were business owners. And so, this was back in 2012. I wasn't familiar about living trusts at that time. Even though I was in real estate, I really didn't know the importance of a living trust. So I'm in the neighborhood. I'm new to the neighborhood now. I'm trying to see who all live in my neighborhood. Who's this person? Who's that person? And I get to looking it up because, and as being a real estate agent, a real estate broker, we had access to, the tax records. So I went and started trying to look it up, and I couldn't even see who was in my neighborhood. Guess why? Because all these mofos had their houses in living trust. So I had no idea who they were, what they did. Right. So then when I moved into an affluent neighborhood on the East Coast, which is an even more affluent neighborhood that I lived in California, these were primarily African Americans, $1 million homes. Every home's, at least $1 million, but it's all Black folks. Yeah. And I did the same thing. And guess what? I was able to see who lived in the neighborhood. You know why? Because they didn't have their homes in living trust. It's a difference. So I'm just telling y'all, Black people, we got to we got to do better. In my neighborhood in California, we were the only Black people. In my neighborhood here, it's 95% Black. And most people don't have their homes protected by living trust. So it's very important that we protect our assets. Okay. So you do have that sense of privacy. When nosy people like me, go look you up, we can't tell because it's in a living trust. All right. The pros of a living trust also is it helps you to be able to manage your property or your assets. So if you become incapacitated and you have directives, so it's also included in a living trust are directives. So if you were to get sick, so when I was doing my mama's living trust, there was some directives. They were like, they have your DNRs, your do not resuscitates and all that stuff. So I'm just checking the stuff. And my mama's like, whoa, 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 whoa. What you say? What you say? Yes on? I was like, oh, that's a DNR. It's a do not resuscitate, because I got DNRs on mine. Like if I become incapacitated, or if I'm in a coma or something like that and I'm brain dead, like I'm a vegetable, go ahead and pull the plug. That's how I feel. My mama's like, whoa, whoa, whoa. You're gonna have to give me at least a couple months. Change that to no. I don't want no DNR. But that's the thing. If you become incapacitated in one way or another, then the living trust, they can carry out the directives in the living trust. All right. So while you're watching, I'm so glad that there are hundreds and hundreds of people that are watching right now. Share this information, right? Stop what you're doing. First of all, because if you like it, I'll get more visibility. The other thing I need you to do is I need you to share this to your people, because this information that I'm giving you, this game that I'm giving you, is extremely important. So I want you to share this out to your people really quick. I'm just giving you a quick break. Go ahead and share. Put it on your Facebook pages. Put it on your Instagram pages. Put it on your LinkedIn pages. Put it on your Twitter. Put it on all social media. If you're on YouTube, share it on your YouTube page. Okay. All right. Just wanted to tell you to do that real quick, and then hit like. Give me a bunch of likes and hearts. All right. And Sharon said, are you answering questions? Yes, I am going to be answering questions at the end. So just kind of wait, because I might answer your questions as I'm talking. Okay. So I definitely am answering questions because this is live. So I'll be answering the questions for, because this is live. All right. So you get that, you get that seamless transfer of the asset. So when you die, your assets get transferred. It's no problem. It is just like having the person there. You ain't got to worry about nothing. There's nothing up for question. Okay. Number two, you get that privacy. So nobody can really tell who has what, who's doing whatever. All right. The third thing is that capacity. The management during, if you come incapacitated. So if should something happen, they can carry out your directives. A living trust has all of that. What do you put in a living trust? All your assets, your personal property, your real property, which is your real estate, anything, your insurances, your bank accounts, your cars, all of those things, put those in living trust, have the directives in there, and have it set up for your kids. Because if you don't, your children will end up hating each other. And I've seen it time and time and time again. Okay. Now let's talk about LLC. Why should you put your property in an LLC? Putting your property in an LLC is more for investors. Okay. Now, what's the purpose of an LLC? The purpose of an LLC is to protect you, is to limit your personal liability. Okay. So the reason why you would put your property in an LLC is if you're like an investor and maybe somebody goes on your property. Somebody goes on your property, they get hurt, they sue the property. They can't sue you personally. You are personally protected. So you have an LLC that personally protects you. It limits your liability, or a corporation. That's the purpose of some type of entity, is to protect you personally. It's a totally different entity. Here's the thing about having some type of entity, though, is you have to make sure you don't do what's called piercing the corporate veil. Does anybody know what piercing the corporate veil is? Anybody know what's piercing the corporate veil is? If you pierce the corporate veil, it means that you're acting, your living trust isn't really a living trust. So you're commingling funds, you're kind of using it as a cover. But if you were to get sued and they found out like you've been commingling, or your all of your documents aren't set up properly, or you haven't been doing the things that you need to do in order to maintain your living trust properly, that they can go back and sue you personally. Okay. So so setting up a living trust has certain requirements. Excuse me, not a living trust. Setting up an LLC has certain requirements when it comes to property. All right. So the pros are, the pros are it gives you that protection. Okay. The pros are the costs, or the cons are the costs. So if you live in California, the cost for a living trust are $800. That could be expensive if you don't have any kind of income coming in. So people out here getting these LLCs, and they setting them up in all these states, and you're like, why are you setting up these LLCs? Because it's costing you money every year. You got to file taxes on them. You got to pay $800 if you're in California. You pay anywhere from $50 in some states to $800, maybe even $1,000 in other states. And if you don't do certain things, you get fined. Like 1 year, I didn't sign. In California, you have to do a statement of information. Statement of information is basically saying who is your president, vice president, whatever. I didn't do it. They suspended my corporation, and they ended up fining me, I think, a couple more $100 in order to get it, or order to unsuspend it and to get it turned back on. So that's, and that's just something very simple, just like that BOIE filing that I told you about in the beginning. Takes 5 minutes. It takes 5 minutes to update your statement of information. But if you forget, then they could suspend your corporation. So there's certain filings that you have to do every single year. So it could be costly. Okay. LLCs, they offer the flexibility of management. So I have LLCs, and I also have corporations, and both. So my corporation is an S corp. Both are pass-through entities. Now this is so pass-through entities, and I'm not a tax advisor, so please seek the advice of a tax professional. But the way an LLC or corporation works is when you have income coming in, right? When you file your taxes, the profit or the loss, it goes down to the shareholders, or if it's an LLC, the members of the corporation. So whatever you make, or whatever you lose, it passes through to the shareholders of the entity, which is, there are tax benefits to that, right? So there's write-offs that you can have as an LLC. You can write off everything with the property. You can write off your travel costs. There's those tax benefits that you have with the LLC, but if you're not making any money, there are those costs. Okay. Sometimes when you're flipping property, they want your property to be flipped. The lenders, especially when you're getting a private money loan or hard money loan, they want you to have some type of entity set up. They want you to have some type of LLC. When I purchased a commercial building before we could close, I had to set up an LLC. I had it set up in an LLC. The financing was done in my in the corporation name. So my S corp was the financer. They were the people who, they used the financing, the credit, the income of the corporation. And then the building was in the name of the LLC. And then I had a living trust. We'll talk about that a little bit later. I had a living trust covering the whole thing. So then my assets protected, my personal liability is limited, my assets protected. And then, I get the credit. I get the credit from for the corporation through all of this stuff. And they all work in concert to really help you, to be able to build your wealth. So the tax benefits are great. You have that flexibility, but there are the formation and the fees. Okay. So how do you set up an LLC? So let's talk about how to set up an LLC. The way to set up an LLC is, first, you go to your Secretary of State. With your whatever state that you're in, you should have a Secretary of State. And in my business blueprint training, so let me just tell you really quick plug, but no, this is actually beneficial. I have the Grow Your Money training program. It's Grow Your Money, growyourmoney.club. And this is a platform where I put a bunch of trainings, which individually were thousands of dollars. It's about $7,000 to $8,000 worth of training. I put them all in a membership portal for everybody to have access for only $47 a month. So you have access to all of my trainings, and then I drop in one new training a month. So I just dropped in the how to write a best-selling book, because I have several best-selling books. If you don't know anything about me, best-selling books, Keeping Score, What You Need to Know to Make Your Credit Score Grow, and The Secret to Breaking the Broke Code, amongst other workbooks. So I have a training that I just dropped about how to write your best-selling book and to publish it, self-publish your books. But I have tons of training. And so there's one specific training called the Business Blueprint Training. I take you through the step-by-step process of how to create your entity, how to get it funded, and then how to pay yourself with no money so that you can qualify to purchase property. It's pretty dope. So that's the Business Blueprint Training on growyourmoney.club. So I would definitely recommend signing up for that so that you can get the step-by-step. But there's so many other trainings. There's the Real Estate for Rookies training, which I have over 30 trainings on how to start investing in real estate, REITs, real estate investment trusts, commercial building, commercial property, apartments, Airbnbs, how to be an investor, all kind of stuff. I mean, this training alone is worth thousands of dollars. It's also in the portal for only $47 per month. All right. So I just wanted to tell you that. But how do you set up your LLC? You go to your Secretary of State website. You got to choose a name. When you go to those sites, there is a search button where you can search to make sure that there's, the name is not taken. If you are not in the state, you could be the registered agent, or you could hire somebody to be a registered agent. This is where the docs have to go. They have to have an address in the area, and all of the legal documents go to your registered agents. You got to file your articles of incorporation or your articles of organization. That name varies state to state. That's a must. Also, your operating agreement, that's optional in some states. Some states require operating agreements, some don't. You got to get an EIN from the IRS. Now, when you get your EIN, if you go Google, get EIN from the IRS, here's very important, because there's some trick websites out there that will charge you. Getting your EIN is absolutely free. When I was starting one of my entities, I was like, doing all the stuff. I was putting everything in. And then at the end, it said cart, your total amount is whatever. And I'm like, wait a minute. It was a site that looked exactly like the IRS. And basically what they was doing is they was capturing all your information, you paying them, and they was going to get you an EIN number, but you was going to pay them, and they was going to go to the IRS website and do the same thing. So make sure that you go to irs.gov when you get your EIN number, because there are sites out there that will act like it's the IRS site, and they will charge you for an EIN number, and it is not that. Okay. Um, so if in your state you may need a business permit or a business license, so make sure you get that, maybe your fictitious business name or whatever. You may have to file annual reports. You got to get a business bank account. Now this is extremely important because your business is not legit until you have a bank account. So when it comes to getting finance or it comes to getting business credit, and I talk about that in the business blueprint training, how to finance your business, how to get business credit, your business is not legit until you establish a business bank account. So the moment that your business bank account is established, then you become too legit to quit. Okay. So make sure you establish your business bank account. As soon as you get your EIN number, as soon as you get your articles of incorporation, establish your EIN number. Okay. Establish your EIN, establish your business bank account. Okay. And, you have to maintain your taxes, your compliances, make sure all of the compliances are met. Each state has different compliances. All right. So that's what you need to do. That's how you establish your LLC. How do you establish, mom? Dang, my mom is blowing me up. I will call you later. How do you establish your living trust? I already told you. You can go through an attorney. You can also go through LegalZoom. I have a LegalZoom account. I think I pay $39 a month. There are documents in there, a bunch of legal documents in there, but you can establish your LLC through there. It's not your LLC. You can establish your living trust through there. When you don't have the guidance though, it can be a little bit more difficult. I would probably pay $299trust.com to do it because they have it down. They have everything that you need down. So the 299 trust is probably the best thing to do. So you got to choose a trustee. So who's going to be the trustee of your trust? That is the person that's going to carry out your directives should you become incapacitated or should you die. Okay. You have to get all of your information, your bank accounts, your life insurance, your personal property, everything that you want included in your living trust. You need to gather all those documents. Now, inside the Grow Your Money Club, I have a personal information organizer that comes with it. This is great because it allows you to put all of your information in one place. So get that personal information organizer, put all your stuff today. Because you don't know if you're going to get hit by a bus tomorrow. You don't know what's going to happen. We don't know. Nobody knows the day or the hour. So we don't know if something's going to happen to us. So it's better to be prepared. Have all of your information in one place and tell somebody, tell a child, tell a relative, somebody that you trust where this information is. So gather all your information, and then you have an attorney or 299 Trust or LegalZoom draft the living trust. Then you fund the trust. How do you fund the trust? You put your assets in there. You put your bank account. That's funding the trust. So one of the things I do in my trust, I have my life insurance inside my trust, right? So I have a life insurance. So I have money. I have a lot of money that I put in a permanent life insurance policy, which is an infinite bank. So I created my own bank. All right. So I have my own bank. I funded it. I put, quite a bit of money in here, and it's generating compounded interest, right? It's generating compounded interest. I put a bunch of money in there, and then I'm a part owner of a marijuana dispensary. So every time I get a payout, so I get a payout quarterly, every 3 months, I get a payout from the marijuana dispensary. I just use that money and I put it inside the bank that I created for myself through the permanent life insurance policy, which generates compound interest that's in the trust. And my kids are my beneficiary. So this is a trust fund that I've set up for my children. Okay. So something happens to me, they already know. Everything's split up in 25% 4 ways. Each of my children have properties, and then the life insurance is funded, and then you have the primary property as well. So you have all of those things. However you want to fund it, you put it up and you set it up. You set up inside the living trust, and you have your directives up for the living trust so that it can be carried out in the way that you want it to. The next thing that you do is you're going to sign it in front of a notary, have it notarized, and then you take it down to the county recorder's office in whatever county that you're in, and you have the deed recorded, because that solidifies it. So then that's where the privacy comes in, right? So that's what happens when people go to look up your property, they go, oh, it's in Jackson Family Trust. Well, who's Jackson? Your living trust could be whatever name you want it to be, but a lot of people will have it in their last name, such and such living trust or whatever. So you record the deed, and the deed is in the name of the living trust, right? And you inform everyone who needs to be informed. So you let whoever's a trustee, you let them know, yo, should something happen to me, here is my trust. Now, it's important that you maintain the trust. It's important that you keep the documents current, review it every now and then, maybe biannually or annually, something like that. Make sure you are funding your trust. Okay. So that's the living trust. That's how you form your living trust, which is different from your LLC. Now, here's a way that you could use both to maximize your protection. Okay. And this is typically for investors. Okay. So if you have properties, if you have multiple properties, and a lot of you are trying to get into the investment game, and so you want to limit your liability, but you also want to protect your assets. See, if you just have your property in an LLC, if you die, guess what? Still gonna have to go to probate. So what good is that doing for your heirs? It protects you from your liability, because there are two very different things, right? One is to limit your personal liability in case you get sued, or say somebody comes after you, or say something happens with your credit, your business credit, that doesn't hurt you personally. Say something happens with your personal credit, your business credit is intact. So this is a totally separate entity from you. The trust is set up to make sure that your heirs are protected in the event, well, when you die, because you will die. When you die, everyone is protected and everything can happen seamless. So if you have multiple properties, right? So say you're getting a property, I would put each property in a different LLC. I wouldn't put them all in the same LLC. Why would I put them in a different LLC? It's because you want to protect each property. So say you have all of them under one LLC. So you have 5 properties, they're all under one LLC. Well, what happens? Somebody comes to one property, they fall and break their leg, they go after the LLC. That means all of the properties are at risk. You personally are clear, but all of your properties are at risk. So you want to have each of your properties in a different LLC. The problem with that, though, is it can become costly, is it can become cumbersome. If you're in an area where LLCs cost a lot of money, that could be a lot of administrative tasks to handle every single year. But if you're making money, it's not a bad idea, because number one, each of those properties, you could actually start building credit from each of those LLCs, right? So you have multiple LLCs, you're able to fund them, you're able to get credit, you're able to use that credit as leverage to be able to purchase more property. That's a good thing. But you got to know how to manage all of them. Okay. So I would get each of the properties, I will put each of the properties in a separate LLC. And then I would have a living trust. I will put all of them in a living trust. That way they're protected. They're doubly protected. So it's ironclad protection. And should something happen to you, everything gets distributed properly. So the way you're going to have to update your living trust often, because every time you acquire a new property, you're going to have to put that property, you're going to have to add it to the living trust. But definitely, that's a way that you could do all of them. One question I have is, say, because California is higher, or if say you're in one of those higher cost areas that it costs a lot of money to start an entity, like $800 or $1,000, can I go to go to Delaware? Can I go to a state where Nevada, where it's cheaper, and I'd set up my entity there, even though my property is in a different state? Well, no, you can, but it's gonna be the same thing, because you're gonna still have to register it in that state as well. So you have it here. People like Delaware because they say Delaware, the courts in Delaware are more corporation friendly. So should you get sued, they're more, that's the reason why people do it. They do it because of that, because of the cost, and because of the anonymity. All your information ain't out there. So that's the reason why you have a Delaware corporation or LLC. But having a property in California and putting it in a Delaware corporation, you're just actually increasing your costs, because you have to register it in both places. So it really doesn't make any sense. So that was a question I had. What was another one? Oh, when is the best time to set up an LLC or a living trust? You can do the LLC as you can purchase the property in the LLC's name. And that's provided that the LLC is already established and you're putting quite a bit of money down. You cannot get, say, an FHA loan or conventional 5% down loan, anything like that with an LLC. That's typically for an investment property. So with an LLC, you're going to have some skin in the game. You're going to have to put like maybe 25% down. However, after you close escrow, you can change the owner to the LLC. This is after you've purchased the property. If you've purchased it with, a conventional loan or FHA loan, you can then, after you close, put the property in the LLC. When should you set up your living trust? I would set up my living trust before I even close or immediately after I close. The reason why I say before you close, because it's less costly because of the processing, because you're going to have to get it notarized. You're going to have to get it recorded. So you may as well just do it all at the same time. Okay. Somebody said, let me see. Let me look at the questions. Let me see. Wait, where's my comment? We have a living trust. Do we need to go and revamp it? And how will we go about doing that? What do you need to revamp your living trust for, Patricia? What do you need to revamp your living trust for? You do need to, like I said, update it often as you acquire more property, as you do more things. You do need to check and make sure everything is up to date. What all do you have inside your living trust? Do you have any assets in there? Do you want to add any assets in there? So those are the reasons why you need to update or revamp your living trust. And you can do that. That's an easy thing to do. The only thing that you would have to do, so you would just have to update your documents and keep your documents with you because they're not filed anywhere. You need to have them somewhere in a safe place. Give somebody a copy of your living trust. That way that the directives can be carried out. But typically, you're going to be the person that has them. They don't go to the county recorder's office. The only thing that the county recorder's office has when you record your living trust is that grant deed. So make sure you have it somewhere where somebody knows besides you where the documents are. Somebody said, I heard an irrevocable living trust was better to have. It depends on the situation because an irrevocable trust is one that can't be changed. So once you put the stuff in the trust, that's it. But there's like pros and cons. You have, for the irrevocable trust, you have a higher level of asset protections. So there's just more control. Like creditors can't come against you. Legal claims can't come against your irrevocable trust, but you cannot change your irrevocable trust. It's typically used like in like Medicare, Medicaid, and with irrevocable trusts, they have like you have an EIN. So they're just more ironclad, but they're not very flexible as say a revocable trust. And so all the trusts that I do or I've seen or I have are revocable living trusts. All right. Let me see. A will, sweetheart, a will absolutely can be contested. Yeah, a will can be contested. That's the reason why people go to probate all the time. Yeah. A will is just instructions. A will is only instructions, but it can be contested. Now, they carry out their instructions. Haven't you seen all those movies where people are contesting wills? Yeah, they absolutely can be contested. Oh, and then you corrected yourself. All right, bad. Okay. What are some options if you don't have children or anyone else available to leave your house to? Well, who would you want to leave your house to? I have an option, Danette. If you want to leave your house to me, you can. Constance Carter. Call, we could discuss. No, I mean, if you want to leave it to a charity, maybe you have a niece or nephew, maybe you have a sibling, maybe you have a cousin. But just don't let it like that. Like you work so hard for that asset. Don't let it go to waste. So, I think that it will be good. You will be a good steward if you left it to somebody. If maybe you don't have children and maybe you want to donate it to a charity that's going to help somebody in some way, I would do that. But I wouldn't let it go to the state, because the state is not going to benefit from it. It's not going to benefit any one person. So the reason why we have these protections in place is so that we can leave a legacy for our children and our children's children, or at least our families. And if you don't have anybody in your family, or you don't have children, maybe there's a charitable organization that you can leave it to that's going to help somebody in some way. Or there is Constance Carter as well. So I just want to let you know. Rodney said they will fight. Rodney, I've seen it time and time again. Sharon and people make up things as we go along. Business. Thank you. Aunts and uncles be acting the fool. Yeah, they're. I do love you, Armand. I do. Thank you for that. Sharon said, what was your question? Tiffany said the living trusts are $250 in her state, I think. Do investment accounts go in there too? Yeah. Your investment accounts can go in there as well. A will be contested. Yes. Rome said, I need help with all of this. So Rome, what you do is call your girl. No, really, an attorney will probably be the best, because I'm not an attorney. I can only advise you based upon my experience. But I can lead you in the right direction. And this information that I gave you today will certainly be able to help you. And so that's what I'm here for. That's why I try to give this information, because my goal is to help us be able to protect ourselves, to be able to provide generational wealth for our children and our children's children. That is the goal. And so for me, like the Grow Your Money Club, I made it so accessible for so many people. And my goal is to get, because I've had 10,000 people go through my trainings in the past. I've had trainings on this, it used to be called My Wealth Roadmap. And I've had 10,000 people go through my trainings. And so what I wanted to do is I want to make it more affordable. I want to make my trainings more affordable to everyday people who just want to change their lives in meaningful ways in 2024. So that's why I made it so affordable. $47 a month is nothing, comparatively speaking, compared to, what'd you say? Oh, my thing went black. Compared to a lot of things that's out there. There's a lot of information that's free on YouTube as well. Go to YouTube, get some of the information. You on YouTube right now learning, right? So if you want to go to YouTube, get the information. My point is just get the information. One of the things that I always say is, we spend so much time. In the book Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell, he talks about it takes 10,000 hours. He says it takes 10,000 hours to perfect something, to perfect some type of skill. He talks about the Beatles, how they practiced 10,000 hours, how, life happened to where they were practicing at a gig every night, 10,000 hours. Bill Gates, 10,000 hours, right? He was coding. He was in college. He got a chance he broke into this lab and he was coding for 10,000 hours. And so that's how he became perfect. He perfected his craft. And so we spend so much time on social media and on things that don't serve us, on things that are just productivity killers. If we were to take that time that we spend, at least on social media, now, I don't know, we might be doing 10,000 hours a day or a year, not a day, 10,000 hours a year, maybe over 2 years, but say, I'm not trying to deprive you from getting that information on the Shade Room or nothing like that. But I do say, before you get on some type of social media platform, write down 5 things the night before and decide on something that you want to learn. And then before you get on, Shade Room first thing in the morning, or Instagram the first thing in the morning, because that's what a lot of us do, right? The first thing we do is we pick up the phone, we see our alerts, we go check our alerts. Go Google something. Go learn something. Or if you're in the Grow Your Money Club, go take one of the trainings in there. Listen to it while you're driving in your car. Listen to it while you're at your desk. Come home and listen to it. Do something, but that's stimulating your brain, just like you're doing here right now with me today. I appreciate you guys. You guys have stayed on with me for a long time, and there are hundreds of people that are watching me right now. I'm on like 8 different platforms right now. So there are many of you that are watching me right now, which I really, really appreciate. But continue this. Be on, just listening to me. There's other people on here that are teaching some really great information. There are scammers out there too. So you got to be aware of those scammers. And I talk about that on my YouTube. I got a video about the scammers out there, because there's some scammers out there telling you to do some illegal shit. I ain't gonna tell you to do no illegal shit. But in my information, you could trust it. Also with the Grow Your Money Club, you do have a community. I do Q&As once a month where you could actually ask me live questions where we could talk about whatever it is that you want. And also I bring in my friends that are experts, that are thought leaders from all over the country. They'll come in and they'll do some training for you as well. So go to growyourmoney.club and that's going to help you there. That's for everybody from all walks of life. There's also the Net 7 Collective, which I am starting. I'm so excited, y'all. Listen, I love the Net 7 Collective. So the Net 7 Collective is my passion project. So if you don't know anything about me, I'm Constance Carter. I built the largest Black-owned real estate firm in California. Now, me building this firm, 90% of the people who work for me were Black women. It was mostly Black women. And we created this great environment. We did it together. Beautiful synergy, beautiful energy. The culture was unmatched. And so what I've done is I've taken the framework that built the successful organization. Now I'm helping Black women specifically. And the reason why I'm helping Black women, because I just believe that, if you haven't seen my TED Talk, it's called Google That Shit. And I talk about ways to close the wealth gap. And my contribution of closing the wealth gap, because that's passion for me. I believe that, there was an article in Forbes in 2017 that said in 2053, Black median wealth was going to be a 0. And not far behind that, Hispanic wealth was going to be a 0 as well. I don't believe that. I believe that they didn't fucked around and gave us the internet. Now we got access to everything. And so they can't keep it from us, right? But with the Net 7 Collective, my contribution to closing the wealth gap is through Black women, because there's an African proverb that says, if you teach a man, you teach an individual, but when you teach a woman, you teach a nation. And so this is my way of just kind of spreading. But this is, hey, listen, there's people out there that are teaching men and teaching women and teaching everybody. This is my charge and my passion, because people always say, well, what about the brothers? What about, I got people on there. Well, do you teach white people too? I do. In the Grow Your Money Club. Do you teach brothers too? I do in the Grow Your Money Club. But this specifically is my passion project for people who are like me, that I just want to help. And so we finished up with our last session for our last cohort in December, and it was beautiful. And so I'm just share in our last session, the ladies were just kind of sharing their experience. And so this is Judy that was talking about her experience inside the cohort. It's cool.
For about the past, 3 or 4 years, I've been praying for a business coach. Like, I never had a coach. I knew that a coach, I read many times that all the most successful people have a coach. Coaches have coaches. And I wanted a coach that would help me understand money and business and entrepreneurship. That I know people always tell me, oh, you know a lot of things and you do a lot of things, but nobody was taking me by the hand and say, this is important with your credit, and this is how you get stuff off your credit, and this is how you establish business credit, and this is how you build your brand. And here's a bunch of people that look just like we do that are doing all these different things. And take a look at these. Maybe you want to do something of them, maybe you don't. But every single person that we were exposed to showed us something different and made us see yet another possibility. The fact that we have been exposed to just folks that are just banging, that are like really doing it, like no shit, they really, really doing it. And it's just been such an eye opener, like mind blown every time we got on. And then just getting to meet all of you women was such a bonus, because here again, I'm seeing all these faces on the screen and everybody is doing amazing things. Whether you are where you want to be or not, when we get on and we listen and people talk and share, I think, well, damn, that's what she's doing. That's what she's about. And that's what she knows. I'm just like mind blown yet again. Every single time. I'm telling you, I would move heaven and earth not to miss one of these sessions. I know they're recorded, but it's just something about being in the room where it happens, and being here live and being able to participate and interact. It's just been such a wonderful thing. And Constance, you definitely underpromised and over-delivered. Yeah. And I know you want us to talk about the rest of us, but you're the one who thought of this. You're the one who went out on a limb yourself and put this together. and brought all of us together. And I am just so grateful. This has just been an amazing experience for me, to the point where I can't even explain it to people. I'm very methodical and very process oriented. I don't mind making a risk, but it's going to be a calculated risk.
So that was one of the ladies, and that was like our last session that we were just they were kind of sharing what they learned. But this is like, if you go to my website, constancecarter.com, and you click on Net 7 Collective, you'll see a lot of the testimonials from a lot of the women. And, that's pretty much kind of the consensus. It's really, really powerful. And we meet once a month, the alumni. So all of the cohorts together, we meet once a month. So we had a meeting last week, and it was just so powerful. It was actually, I needed it myself. It got me refueled for 2024. So it's awesome. But if you are a Black woman, or a Black woman, I am taking, I'm scheduling appointments this week. And so I'd like to talk to you to see if you would be a good fit for the program, because I want to help you to be able to increase your net worth by at least 7 figures. And so we do all of those things. I teach you different investments. These women out here are killing the game. Kenya is another lady. She was out here just speaking all over the state of California, just killing it. So anyway, that's the Net 7 Collective. If you are a Black woman, or a Black woman, have them go to my website. So there's a couple of questions that I see. Somebody said, may you please discuss how you establish your bank? Is that a 501c1? It's very easy. Once you get your articles of incorporation and your EIN, very simple. You can go to Bank of America, which is very easy. You can do it online. Wells Fargo, like any of the larger banks, even the smaller banks. All you need is your articles of incorporation and your EIN number, and a little bit of money to deposit into the bank. And it's a very, very simple process. So it's not hard to do at all. Another question is, I can put my property that hasn't been paid off into an LLC. It will eventually be a rental property, but I'm renovating it now. Yes, you can put your property that's not paid off in anybody's name, right? So you could put it in my name if you wanted to. You could put it in whatever name. It doesn't matter. Lenders typically don't care as long as you're making the payment. But yeah, it does not have to be paid off. Okay. If there are no more, there's other questions. I need to complete the credit course. I want to help others. Girl, Empress. Okay, so I have a credit repair masterclass. The great thing about this, because I do credit, I'm a certified credit expert. So I created a credit training, and with the credit training, you learn everything. You're basically a credit expert after you go through the credit class. You learn everything about personal credit, and there's some bonuses on there about business credit as well. But by the time you get done with that, I've had people who've gone through the training who have started helping other people repair their credit. They've established their business through the business blueprint training, and now they're helping people with their credit. But so you have that. And even if you just want to get my books, like this book, Keeping Score, it says, if you go to Amazon, somebody said this book has literally saved my life. But there are so many great reviews. You don't got to take my word for it. Even on the site, there are many great reviews on the site about the training. So don't take my word for it. Go there. It's too legit to quit. So for a nonprofit, so you would have to have your EIN, your nonprofit status, and your articles. So same thing. You would just have to have your nonprofit. I forget what the form is called, but to show that you're a nonprofit, it's easy breezy. It's not hard at all. Same thing though. Let me see. Bernard, why are you spamming me? I have a trust and had a friend available to handle everything. Unfortunately, she recently died. No one else. Ooh. You need to have. So, okay. Let me tell you really quick. So so people will typically get, this is the reason why I tell people not to get a transfer on death deed as well. So a transfer on death deed is you basically establish who the property is going to transfer to when you die. It's way more cost effective than a living trust. It's probably just cost you go online, you get the form, you get it notarized, you record it. It's very, very inexpensive, right? What happens is, and people are like, I'm just going to do that instead of getting a living trust, because living trust could cost me thousands of dollars. This is, maybe $100 to do. The problem is, if somebody dies, if the person that you're transferring the property to dies before you do, same thing happens. So it'll end up going into probate. It'll be in the same situation that you were in before, right? So I would just pick somebody that I I trusted as a trustee. I know you got to have somebody, Danette. I know you got to have somebody. There got to be somebody in your life that you trust to handle your business. And there are already always third parties. You could actually have an attorney that will do it. In fact, one of my clients, her dad died years ago, and he had a bunch of properties. He had them set up in his living trust, and he had an attorney that was the trustee for his living trust. He just kind of made it a little bit difficult for her to get certain things, like get money and stuff like that. But yeah, money. She had bank money and like bank accounts. She had properties, all kind of stuff. And so the attorney was the trustee. So you could actually hire an attorney to do that. But you need to make sure you decide in your directives, Danette, who is going to be the beneficiary, who you're going to give your things to, because that's important. Like, please do not work that hard and let the state take over your asset. Thank you, Miss Linda Clemens. Linda Clemens is one of the dopest speakers you ever want to meet. She's one of my mentors. She's one of the greats. So if you don't, she's a body language expert. She works for the FBI. She works for every Fortune 500. She speaks to every Fortune 500 company, Mind Valley, all over the place. And if you don't know her, follow her on Instagram. She is amazing, and she's one of my mentors. Want to get a HELOC on my mother's home? Should I accomplish before a trust? You can accomplish it before the trust or after the trust. It's not gonna hurt, because they're gonna go off of your personal credit when they do the HELOC, or her personal credit when they do the HELOC. So the extra step would just be putting it back in the trust when the HELOC is done. So you can do it before or after. It doesn't matter. It's not gonna hurt. You can refinance a property that's in a living trust. That's not an issue either. Okay. Thank you. If I go to Bank of America with LLC and EIN, they'll help me make a deposit in my own bank. Yeah. What do you mean your own bank? You mean your own bank account for the nonprofit? I think that's what you mean. Yeah. What's up, Patrice? Let's see. Unfortunately, as you age, people start dying off. Danette, DM me. Let's just have a conversation, okay? Maybe I could help direct you in some way. So maybe, just DM me. Come on over to Facebook, or come on over to Instagram. I am Constance Carter, and let's talk about it, okay? All right. So if there's no more questions, what's up, Patrice? Thank you for that. Oh, you're talking about my infinite banking. Okay. So my infinite banking. So no, that's different. So if you want to set up something with the infinite banking, I would actually recommend you talk to, go here. You could actually make an appointment with Brandy Bridget. Brandy is one of the top insurance brokers in the country. And she actually helped me, and she helps a lot of my clients as well. So what she did. So this infinite banking, this is a permanent insurance policy that generates compound interest. Compound interest, Einstein says compound interest is the eighth wonder of the world. So you think about the Rockefellers, they use compound interest when they generated. That's why their money is so long, and they generated their dynasty legacies. Right. They funded their dynasty trusts. Ray Kroc, the owner of McDonald's, compound interest. So all of these big multi-millionaires and billionaires, they use compound interest when they are where they put their money. Right. So if you have your money in the bank, for example, you got, maybe a few $1,000, $10,000, $15,000. The bank is only paying you 0.23% interest, more than likely, less than 1% interest. They're giving you, they're generating 0.23% interest. What is that? I remember, I think I calculated like $10,000, 5 years, you made like $11, something stupid like that, maybe $60. Compound interest, that same $10,000 that you got, it was thousands of dollars that you generate in compound interest compared to putting your money in the bank, right? So compound interest, the money just generates. So basically, this permanent life insurance policy, I funded it, put the money in there, right? And so every time I get paid from the marijuana dispensary, I just put the money inside the life insurance policy. So then that money, again, it's inside the trust, and it goes to my children. So that's not a Bank of America bank. This is a bank that I created through a permanent life insurance policy that generates compounded interest. Does that make sense? So it wouldn't be something that you get from Bank of America. That I would put, this is something that's totally different. I wouldn't put it in an LLC. That's in your personal name, but then that goes inside your trust, not in an LLC, not a nonprofit. But all your assets, you put those inside of a living trust. Okay. I hope that makes sense. But go to that link, startmylife.co. If you want to, get some asset protection, or you want to get your life insurance or anything like that, go to startmylife.co. Brandy Bridget, she's amazing. I put a few $100,000 inside a permanent life insurance policy for for my kids, and it's so I could actually borrow from myself. So this is how it works. I can borrow from myself. So if I want to take money out, I could take money out. I'm still getting paid compounded interest on the money that I even taken out, right? So say I got $100,000 in there, I take $10,000 in there, right? $10,000 out. They're paying me compounded interest on the $100,000. And even if I take $10,000 out, they're still paying me compounded interest on the $100,000. And even though I don't have the $10,000, they're still paying me, they're still generating compounded interest on that $100,000. That's the amazing thing about it. I could put the money back in, but if I don't put the money back in, guess what? The money, when I die, the policy that goes to my kids, they just subtract the money that I've taken out. So there's no penalties, and I can take it out with no penalties. So it's a great way to generate, some passive income, some compound interest. I have my money in a lot of different vehicles, but that's just an excellent way to just make my money grow a lot faster than just putting it in a traditional bank. Because what's happening is you're getting 0.23% interest for your money that's in the bank. And guess what the bank is doing? Guess what the bank is doing? Guess what the bank is doing? They are investing your money in vehicles that generate compounded interest, and they making money off your money, and you ain't making shit. It's crazy. All right. So thank you. Hopefully there's not any more questions. I sure appreciate it. And so for Miss Danette, send me a DM. Let's talk about it. I'll try to help you out in any way that I can. And, if you want to go ahead and, donate to the Constance Carter, I'm just kidding. I'm really, really just kidding. I definitely wouldn't do that to you, but maybe I could lead you in the right direction in terms of helping you get somebody that can be a beneficiary for you. Cause that's important. Cause I don't want your assets to go to waste. If you don't have family, then, give it to somebody who could actually use it that's less fortunate. All right. I do this for real, because I love you guys. I love the people who follow me. I love the people who watch. I love the people who share. So please make sure that you share and tell your friends about this information, because we so need this in our communities. I love you for real, in real life. My IG, my Facebook, and my Instagram is at I am Constance Carter, which is right here. Oh, you see that? Look at, I got to get my nails done. Oh, it's nasty work right there. I got to go get my nails done. So I am Constance Carter. Follow me on at I am Constance Carter on Instagram and on Facebook. And I love you guys for real, in real life. I appreciate you, Armand, and everybody else that's watching me. All right.